Well, we've certainly been keeping busy this morning. I wanted to get moving on to around just a 1 hour sail west of here, Hakaui Bay, otherwise known as Daniel's Bay to a lot of cruisers. And it's taken me quite a long time to get organised. The solar panel that I had, the movable solar panel, had to be moved. Lines everywhere checked. I'm going to tow my dinghy. It's such a short distance, so those lines had to be organised. The main has been centred. I take it off to one side to give maximum solar power to the panels, sunlight to the panels. Not that we've had a lot for the last few days, but a beautiful day today. Absolutely lovely, and a little bit of wind. Should have a nice gentle sail around just for the next hour or so. And here we have a good demonstration of what not to do with this swim ladder. Leave it in the water for too long. I mean, look at that. That's a pretty good amount of growth on there. I completely forgot that it was down in the water. I thought I'd raised it, but clearly not. And yeah, I'm going to have to clean that off when I get round the corner to the to Hakaui shortly. And here's the dinghy waiting to be towed. Very lazy, just towing it a short distance very gently. Should be no problem. Got a bridle and the painter. So we're about to get the engine going and raise the anchor and get going. And here we go, leaving Taiohae Bay. Might come back, I'm not sure, but lovely, lovely day, beautiful day. And we'll be making for that entrance there to go round to the west. Hang a right, turn to starboard. Well, we're finally underway out of Taiohae Bay. Just 5 knots of wind ahead, so I'm not sure we're going to get any sailing. So there's the viewpoint up there that I hiked up to. That was a good hike and gave a really lovely view over the entrance here. Looking down the coast as we come out of the entrance to Taiohae Bay. As always, here in the Marquesas, a very dramatic view. My slight problem at the moment is the autopilot does not seem to be holding a course. So that's a bit of a worry. We're having to hand steer. Not a problem for a short distance. Well, we're having a very pleasant, slow sail. My only problem is that the autopilot is just not keeping course, which is a little bit of a problem, obviously. It certainly will be for a 4 to 5 day passage coming up towards the Tuamotus. So I'm going to have to look into that when I get to Daniel's Bay and try to sort out what the problem is. I mean, the autopilot says it's working, it's just not keeping a course that I've set. So there's some kind of a messaging that isn't happening between the GPS direction and the course that I've set. In the meantime, it's a very pleasant day and we're ambling along. It'll take us probably 2 hours instead of 1 hour to get there, but that's not a problem. It's a lovely day and we're just going under Genoa, being a bit lazy. Downwind under Genoa works fine. Well, we're getting closer to Hakaui, but because of the wind direction we're having to stay well off, and then we'll have to drive around to come in towards the bay itself. It was very nice to be sailing, even though it was very slow, very gentle, but that's fine. Just lovely to be sailing and out on the water as we make our way to Hakaui. A lovely day sailing here, a little bit rolly, but pleasant. It's not that much wind, 10 knots, which is partly why we're going so slow, and of course partly also because I'm being lazy and only running the Genoa. But yeah, very pleasant, ambling along. We're taking the Genoa in now, so we're going to head in under motor into the bay. There are quite a few boats there, so we're going to be very careful. Here we are looking back. We had actually jibed around for a little bit. putting us on to starboard tack instead of port tack. But I was a little bit worried about the entrance, so I thought best to be safe, take the furl in the Genoa and get under motor. Steep too everywhere, very steep, deep water, 200 feet, 150 feet till quite close to the entrance. Quite amazing, pretty impressive rock formations, very steep hillside, mountains really, as we came towards the entrance to the bay, which was not that narrow, but certainly not wide enough for me. I've never been here before, so I was just being careful. All the hillsides here are very steep too. In the bay it gets pretty shallow. So here we are getting closer to the entrance itself. There are actually two little bays. The furthermost easternmost is the anchorage one. The other one gets very, very shallow. Anyway, I was just trying to keep in the middle of the area of the water, and very deep water, but it's always a worry when you come into somewhere completely strange to you. Wonderfully wild, green, rugged mountains. No buildings in sight. Totally wild. So here we are finally rounding the east side of the entrance into Hakaui. Very steep too, so most of the time plenty of depth. Obviously as I get closer in it will get shallower, but nothing too dramatic, and just keep away from the edges, but very pleasant. Looking now towards the anchorage itself. I ambled around and took my time deciding where to anchor. Interestingly, the sun has already gone down behind that mountain, but we're over on this side of the bay, the east side, which is still in bright sunshine. There is a little bit of swell, a little bit of rocking around, but not very much at all. Next morning I heard the bleating of wild goats on the hillside above us. According to the chart, there's coral under here, so I'll have to go snorkeling. We were actually anchored in sand, nowhere near the strip of coral by the side there, but it certainly sounded like an interesting place to go snorkeling. And I definitely need to clean that ladder. Just 4 o'clock, just before 4 o'clock, when the sun went behind that mountain. Several of the boats here have come round from Taiohae, and I know them. After the sun had gone down and the dark light was fading, I suddenly realised there was a thin sliver of a crescent moon with Venus above. Really lovely to see. And here we are the next morning at anchor in Hakaui, and a little bit of drizzle. Not a lot, but definitely a bit wet. but it's giving quite a view of the valley down towards the waterfall for which this place is quite famous. It's a good 2-hour hike each way, I believe, but that is definitely looking pretty dramatic, misty, quite awesome. The boat swung around a bit there, but this is a better view of the misty, rainy valley leading inland from Hakaui, from the bay here. The waterfall is said to be the second highest in the world. For the time being, with this weather, definitely a time to be getting on with boat jobs. There's the nearby shore where I thought I was going to go snorkeling today, but I think we'll wait for a nice sunny day, maybe tomorrow, see how the weather goes. I'm expecting to be here for nearly a week actually. I've got plenty to get on with. It's a lovely spot, completely isolated. Really lovely. Just a little bit wet today.